Hello everyone, this is Scrifrigma. Today, since it's Halloween, I decided I'm gonna try and play a much more scary game than I did yesterday. Today I'm gonna actually be playing Clive Barker's Jericho. To my knowledge, this was the first game Clive Barker worked on. I believe he just wrote it, I'm not sure. After this, I believe he worked on Clive Barker's Jericho. I've only had some experience with this game. I'm not... I made it a little bit into it beforehand. I set up the controls so that I could try to get a good feel for the game. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started on this. I hope whoever's watching this enjoys. Let's see, set it to medium.
I'm tired of traveling, or fighting superstition in its many manifestations. Even though it was me who chose to debunk folklore and mysticism. Little did I know I'd end up being labelled as Patrick Galloway, the man with endless occult knowledge. Before I knew it, people all over the world paid me to investigate all kinds of weird things. As long as they paid me, I'd look into it. Funny thing though, the more I saw, the more I believe there are forces beyond our control. Creatures not explainable in any human terms. Things that make my skin crawl. I fled from Ireland and hung around Paris and London with no real purpose till the Great War started. I joined a special unit whose job it was to squelch the fears of the superstitious farm boys who made up the fighting ranks. The Trasanti were the biggest pains. Me commanding officer, Jeremiah Covenant, led our unit on the hunt for their camp. We were ambushed. They came streaming out of the woods, waving swords and howling like banshees. I saw their leader holding a strange stone over his head, yelling weird words in a strange tongue. And just when he was gonna pull the trigger, he glared right at me. A bright green flash came from his hand, and it bowled me over as my gun went off. I woke up in a hospital bed with severe burns. They told me Jeremiah and the unit had gone on without me, but he'd given me the shaman stone to keep. I hadn't given any of this much thought until I came back here to find this letter that Jeremiah wrote me almost 6 months ago, asking me to come back to Ireland and help him out. This is not something I'm dying to do, for it may mean the death of me. He saved my life though, so I owe it to him. Just hope it's not too late.
Okay everyone, let's get this started. At the start of the game, as it says, you can access your journal. Each time my past fades from memory, fate has a terrible habit of reawakening me. Most often, the unpleasant name of Otto Kessinger is the vehicle of remembrance, but not today. My old friend and commanding officer in the Great War, Jeremiah Covenant, has sent word. It has been years since I've heard from him. His letter came whilst I was away, sitting unopened for nearly 6 months. My joy at reading his name was quickly replaced by sorrow, then by fear. Jeremiah has fallen ill and requires my assistance at his estate in Ireland. I have not set foot on Irish soil since poor Glendolyn's death, and I did not think anything could make me return. Could I have been responsible for her death? Being legally exiled from my homeland was painful, but nothing in comparison to my memories. How did she end up on the floor? How could so much blood come without a sound? How was that knife in my hand, and why was Kessinger suddenly nowhere to be found? But Jeremiah saved my life, and I could not deny any request he would make. The necessity of my presence to somewhat vague, and his letter at times was incoherent. He speaks of his sickness and as a family illness no medicine can cure. Regardless, I will go to my friend. I have booked passage on a steamliner leaving tomorrow, arriving 4 days' time. I hope I'm not recognized by the authorities. I hope I'm not too late. Okay, so as I said earlier, I did play this a little bit, a long time ago. And I did play this a little bit before starting just to get myself accustomed to the controls. I had to set it up, just making it so that I could switch between spells and items easier. In the game, you'll see I'm holding a stone. This is the seer stone you spoke of earlier. What it allows me to do is I can turn it on. I can see all sorts of weird stuff like this. I'll be honest, I don't really know the point of this stone other than to show me weird little freaky things and to make certain enemies and objects glow. Hopefully this is explained later. So until then, I'm just gonna pull out my gun.
I'm Patrick Galloway, a friend of Jeremiah's. Sorry it took me so long to get here. His letter said it was most urgent.
Jeremiah was beginning to think that the letter never arrived in your hands. He's been quite anxious to see you. We've all been quite worried. Jeremiah's now bedridden. Follow me and I'll show you to his living quarters. I apologize for the look of the house, but there's only a skeleton crew of servants now. Jeremiah let go of everyone else, and the house is much too large for us to clean. Because we've lost electricity to most parts of the house, we can only maintain the living quarters. This family's had so much tragedy. I hope you can help him.
Well, let's go find Jeremiah then. As you can see, it does not actually take long at all for the game to start trying to be scary, a little bit eerie. That character we've seen, he will appear throughout this game.
Stuck.
From what I've seen, he's just kind of a floating ghost. He's never really attacked me at all.
Patrick, you made it.
At your service, Jeremiah. Sorry for the delay, but I've been abroad. What happened to you?
It seems I've come under the watchful eye of the Reaper, my friend. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Apparently too long.
Patrick, I came back from the war only to find my entire estate in disarray. My brother Aaron disappeared first, and then my sister Bethany. My declining health is a result of an old war wound, and unfortunately, the symptoms are irreversible. I didn't summon you here to watch me die. I need your help.
Anything I can do. Just name it.
Strange events began happening around the manor. After thinning out my staff, they ransacked my estate, taking whatever they could carry. The rest of the help was quick to follow, as they feared rumors of my family's curse. I can't help but think it's more than a coincidence that strange happenings have increased since I've been back from the war. I want to get to the bottom of this, but I'm just too weak to investigate it myself. I'm relying on you to step in for me.
Of course, Jeremiah. The only reason I was coming back here is to assist you however I can.
My thanks to you, Patrick.
What the hell is that?
Sounds like it came from downstairs.
I'll check it out. Lock the door behind me.
Okay, let's figure out how to save. Let's see. Quick save, F6, okay. I believe he said it came from downstairs, so... More bullets.
Describe what you can only see. As the bonds of flesh are broken, the world becomes apparent.
Now, I don't think I mentioned this. I did earlier say that this was, I believe, written by Clive Barker. I am actually a big fan of his writings. The Hellbound Heart, which is what later became Hellraiser, is one of my favorite short stories. Hey, buddy. How's it going? I'm also a big fan of his book, Mr. Begone. That was actually really good and kind of interesting. And here's our first enemies in the game. As you can see, they're not too difficult to kill. They just kind of hop around a lot and take you by surprise. One thing to note, headshots do matter in this game, so it is actually good to try and take your time to line up a shot instead of just firing them off like crazy. Since I did just encounter some people, let's save again. Most of them do howl before coming and attacking you, so you can at least plan out a shot. And as you can see, this does make them glow, but it doesn't make you be able to see them through walls. So for the most part, I still don't really know what this ability does. I mean, also of note, when these guys hit you, it actually knocks your camera out of alignment and forces you to refocus on them. So I do like that. That is kind of a neat little feature that's used in this. Let's see, where to go?
Jammed. Stuck.
I see you up there.
Help me, Patrick!
Yeah, just ignore me, buddy. I don't mind one bit.
Those beasts were after me.
What in God's name were those things?
They're called howlers. And while I've never seen one before tonight, I've heard of them for years.
Those weren't natural, my friend. We're fighting more than superstitions here.
Perhaps I was being naive not to tell you, but there might be something more sinister at work here.
Yeah,
When I
would have
was
been
a
nice to know.
I encountered something I can't quite explain. You see, there was this isle of standing stones that sits just off the estate. Someone had carved a sigil into each of the stones, something indiscernible. Father had many books on the occult, one of which contained a sketch of that very symbol. I took my brothers and sisters out to the island and read from my father's book.
Well, what happened?
Something answered. The ocean began to boil, and a great wind whipped against us as we stood in the circle, and my siblings huddled to the ground in fear. Eventually, the wind died, and the sea settled. Patrick, I know it sounds like the ravings of a dying man, but I believe those standing stones had something to do with this. What has once been a taint upon this family has now begun to manifest itself.
But you told me you're dying. Doesn't this curse end with you?
Who knows? My brothers and sisters are dead, but I don't think they're really gone. I've heard some servants whispering. They think they've seen Lisbeth on the estate. My family has come for me. I sense them, Patrick. By now, you and I know the supernatural exists. You saw the Howlers. And what about our encounters with the Tersante during the war? You still even carry the Gelzebah stone with you.
It's a token of the shaman's life I took. That's all.
I found a scroll with a picture of the Gelzebah on it. I believe it contains the way to awaken the stone's dormant power.
Very well. Let me study this scroll overnight, and I'll see what I can do in the morning.
This house still hides many secrets. I'm counting on you to reveal them and put an end to this mess.
Let's see what we got here. A piece of the puzzle. The scream downstairs was the result of an attack by a beast. Something Jeremiah calls a howler. Similar to a dog, the animal was pale in complexion, had claws as long as my arm, and could leap several meters from a dead spot. I killed the fiend, but before I could thoroughly inspect the corpse, it vanished without a trace. Upon questioning Jeremiah, I have a little more unnerved that I was after seeing the howler. He told a story involving his brothers and sisters, and okay, this is basically just telling us what we were just told, so I'm not going to read it. I have arrived in time, apparently just in time, completely bedridden Jeremiah. Okay, here we have the Gelzebreth Stone. I've carried this artifact ever since the day Jeremiah gave me, following the battle by the Trisanti. It seems to throw out a shockwave of considerable force, and ever since I acquired the stone, I have noticed strange sightings and visual anomalies. However, the power of the stone has its dark side. On occasion, a beast from beyond this world has attacked me. My only explanation for this appearance is that I was using the stone's power for too long. I have not seen the beast for a while, of course. I have not needed the stone. Okay, so that's a good little hint that I guess if I use the stone too much, something will come and try and get me. Let's see, Scry. A spell that allows me to see and hear past events from the geographic location of which I happen to be standing. It also casts an ethereal light on enemies and darkens areas, giving me the ability to see my foes as well as find my way. I must be careful of its use, as it has no offensive power and it seems to drain my energy for short durations. Learned men have stated that they believe that man has yet to unlock the full potential of his mind. While traveling in the Orient after the war, I met with a local seer who told me that I was one of the chosen few. One of only a handful of individuals that he had ever met that had the ability. He called it scrying, to the ability to read portions of the past. Most of the people who possess this power, he said, over the course of their lives eventually fell into disability, mind tired from the barrage of images and sounds that they heard from both the past and the present, the real and the unreal. I know I have the ability to scry because of the subtle words I hear calling within me at times, begging me to look deeper into the past, deeper at what actually isn't even in front of me. But I am truly wondering if this is a gift I dreamed of or a sick curse placed upon me by an outside force, Patrick. Okay, what we got here? New journal entry. Ectoplasm. The scroll Jeremiah gave me has revealed a powerful spell. It seems that with proper concentration and focus of mind, I'm able to release ethereal bolts of ectoplasm from my hand. Unreliable at far range, this mysterious damage seems quite effective at close quarters. This is basically the second weapon in the game, and it does just what he said. It allows me to shoot these. So, since I didn't use the stone before, yeah, okay, I'll find something to do with that. Why did the door just open? I don't like when doors just open. Hey, buddy. Save.
Have you noticed anything strange going on?
Apparently, Elizabeth's room was broken into last night during the commotion.
Where's her room?
Just down the hall from here. It's quite a mess.
I don't trust you, buddy. I don't trust you one bit.
Jammed. locked. Stuck.
I love that sound it makes whenever he comes up to a stuck door. It sounds like he's running headlong into it.
Tell me what you know about Lisbeth.
Why, she was a fetching young lass. Quite the fiery temper, though. She could be placid and calm 1 minute, and then suddenly she's spitting curses and swinging her nails at you like an animal. 'Tis a pity her mother died birthing her.
Indeed.
Following her mother's death, I'd raised Lisbeth like my own. In the end, the wasting sickness got her. I'd cared for her when she was sick and watched her wither away to nothing. Pity a young woman has to die in the spring of her life. Now she rests with her poor mother at the family mausoleum. The groundskeeper claims to have seen her recently. Poor man, seeing a ghost is never a good omen.
Where can I find this groundskeeper?
He's out in the gardens. You can get there through the kitchen.
Your knowledge is appreciated. Thank you.
Guess I need to head to the kitchen. Let's take a look around first, though. Guess it's Elizabeth and her brother. Thanks for turning on the light.
This house needs a priest.
As you can see, it did talk about voices, so let's do the scry. And wow. Now, this did just kind of occur to me. As you can see from the image, Elizabeth is looking like a vampire surrounded by demons. It's been a long time since I read the story Dracula, but I do remember one of the women turned into a vampire by Dracula was named Elizabeth. I can't remember if that was the primary character's girlfriend or fiancée, or if it was the first girl, her friend, that was turned into a vampire and started feeding on, I believe, children and anybody around the mausoleum. But I kind of like the little symbolism or similarities between the two.
Help me!
Ooh. Where did you guys come from? That's a nice ceiling. Now, I do like that when I walk through the blood, I do leave a trail as I walk. Hello, you want to talk to me? You just happy to sit there bleeding? Okay, pal.
Won't budge. Stuck.
Got another voice, so we got a lot of blood and a lot of gore, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's babies, or maybe this is a reference to Elizabeth's mother dying. And I think it's kind of cool that walking through the fake blood was enough to actually make him leave real footprints. Oh. Wrong ability. Let's check out that journal entry. Dearest mother, all is not well here at the Covent Escape. Joseph, my husband, who once charmed me with his goodwill and smile, now seems distant and reclusive. I realized that when we met there are those imperfections one must look past, and that your heart helps you forgive. However, Joseph's strange obsession keeps him in the library at all hours of the night. Seldom are we spending time together, and even more rarely does he want to exercise his husbandly rights towards me. I'm beginning to feel inadequate, especially when he talks of his desire for children. Prancing around the estate, what am I to do? I bid most of my time alone in the greenhouse, reminiscing of my sweet youth and the rich and gallant Peter Rakana, who would wait patiently on me and shower me with excessive gifts. Like my beloved pearl necklace, things could have been different had I kept that social path. Instead, I feel like I'm the fool for getting involved with Joseph Covenant. His prime moments are being spent in his library with his books twice as old as me. Apparently my visage can't garner his attention. What dear advice would you give me, dearest mother? I'll be waiting for your response. I hope that this letter finds you and Father well. Tell Father not to worry about his little Robin. What I've left the nest, but shall never leave his heart. With love, Evelyn. Finding lots of health packs in this game. I'm assuming that they're just gonna start stacking heavily. I mean, I got 5 on them right now. Another journal page. It is truly a pity that my dear wife Evelyn passed away, birthing Lisbeth. She would have loved to see them all grow. I cannot help but think that she would have been able to tame the wild snake that they have exhibited lately. A mother is a soothing influence. I unfortunately cannot offer them this solace. I wish I could understand, but what brought on this recent behavior. I have received a letter today from Ambassador's boarding school. He has been expelled. Ambrose? Yeah, I guess Ambrose's boarding school. He has been expelled. I don't know what to do with that boy. With that behavior of the children as appalling, I have no choice but to bring them home. Perhaps I can find a tutor. I hope being under my watchful eye will calm their spirits. The last 6 weeks have been terrible. The tutor was a complete disaster. In fact, the poor boy just picked his eggs and left in the night. Any form of discipline is hopeless with Ambrose, and almost seems completely lost on the others. The only thing I have been able to do is play to their interests. I have noticed that each child has their own avid curiosity, strange to see manifest at such an early age, but who am I to discourage the one moment of peace I can find with them? I now understand why the children are behaving wildly. Jeremiah came to me frightened and crying. Several years ago, the children broke into my library and procured one of my research books without my knowledge. But how was I to know a 12-year-old boy would take interest in these dusty tomes? I do not know what passage they read, but I suspect that it was led to the current predicament concerning the behaviors and eccentricities. Jeremiah says they woke the spirits of the island. Hopefully I can determine what the children have done. Perhaps there's a solution. I have pored over the volumes of research, and I am closer to understanding what Jeremiah and the children have conjured. None of this incantations in the book could have caused this to happen. Calling a daemon or consulting spirits should not have such a long-lasting, disturbing effect. I even traveled to the stones. Nothing there gave me a clue as to what happened. Perhaps they had only told me at the time I would have more insight. Now any clues would be long gone. I have determined the stones are some sort of focus. Perhaps there is a reason so many people have been attracted and repulsed by this land. It seems that my own fascination with the standing stones has wrought its corruption upon my children. Joseph. Okay, so in the other room, that actually was, I guess, Elizabeth's mother, and that was supposed to be hinting at how she died during childbirth. Really getting tired of hearing these things.
Stuck. Stuck.
Let's go ahead and save.
Jammed. Won't budge.
Another health pack. Yet another health pack. I'm gonna assume this game starts getting a lot more difficult later on. I mean, as of right now, I'm not gonna say like the game is overly easy, but yeah, I've lost like 15 points of health so far, and I'm now looking at like what, 7 health packs? Let's see, what do you got here? Come on.
Is that the door to the gardens?
Yes, it is. However, I don't have the key. I lent it to the maid. I believe she's cleaning Herr Keisinger's room today. It's located in the east wing of the house.
Thanks. I appreciate your help.
Looks like I need to go to the east wing of the house. So it's gonna be one of these kinds of games. Need to go check out the... So what we saw there, I'm guessing that was Elizabeth. Again, she's just kind of hinting, much like I was guessing that was the brother earlier. She hasn't really attacked me yet. She's just kind of hinted at, I guess, bad stuff that's gonna happen later. Oh, there you are, buddy. What's up? You gonna... So I'm guessing this is the father.
I know it is around here someplace.
This has got to be Jeremiah's father, seeing as how he's kind of locked up in his library. Are you trying to tell me something here, buddy? Aha! That actually worked. I'm pretty sure the book would kind of be worthless afterwards, but let's see what it has to say. Reddish leaves swirl in the wind like lost souls in search of the rest. Like an open sketchbook focused on my dreams, this land forever pictured is a comforting autumn dusk, replete with golden sky, with crackling river water and bubbling marshes that dot the land. It feels like a romantic artist's canvas. Upon further investigation, I have sensed horrendous visions of gnarled doom. I apologize to anybody doing this. I'm trying to read it, but I have issues reading with any of this type of embellished type. I just have trouble reading it. I mean, I have issues telling the difference between like Boridus or Horridus and anything like this, so please work with me here. Decorated as a picturesque facade in this endless autumn dusk, Spring trees root deep onto the foul earth, licking the ground dry, all that is good. Carcasses pollute the brush, their putrid remains swallowed whole by the land, and corners of this malevolent area are teeming with vicious, ungodly prey, all whilst the grass sketches over the land, twisting together like veins of pulsating sinew, as the ground were alive, keen with the inhabitants that parade on its back. What does it say? Beady, black, soulless eyes flash across the air. Tiny, quick, winged bats streak across the bright sky, flying razors waiting for the perfection. Moment to descend. As they swoop by, I see sharp, bloodied teeth, a wicked, demonic smile. From the darting blur, I hear an ominous whistling that chills my soul. They own the skies here, with like blood-end minions, overseers without heart or soul, patrol this land. Slash and stitch techniques permeate their faces and arms, patched together like cheap quilts, using the skin from the bodies of rank corpses. They gather and live like packs of rabid wolves, intrigating fights of supremacy. These abominations thirst for my destruction. They are mostly clustered around the footpath that seem to traverse upward along the cliffside. But alternate groups are planted among watering holes and the hollowed trees. Further down the path, it is as if the shadows are swallowing the surrounding whole, without a pension of logic or drop of meaning. It is as if the only reason for this actually lies in the darkness itself, like royalty that rules the black void, entombed in the night infinite. This is it is she, the eternal mistress of shadows, Aaron. Cool. So does this transform? No. Ooh. Trying to lead me on somewhere.
Stop.
Had kind of a hiccup on my mouse there for some reason.
The great hall of paintings. There's the truth. Image becomes reality. He will rise again. The ritual continues through our blood.
Now let's see. Something hidden in the painting, so let's see what we got here. And wow, that is a pretty big difference we got going on here. So what we're seeing now is we got Elizabeth here, who's transformed into a vampire. We have what I'm guessing was the father mutilated, and he kind of looks like the form that they showed very early on in the game. There was Jeremiah there decapitated. And we have him here as the executioner and her as I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and guess this is basically what each of the members of the family are going to look like as we continue on. This painting, I actually recognize this one. This is the death death of a saint or something like that. Can't really remember. For those of you that are a fan of darker metal, say Cradle of Filth, their one album, ooh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I just remember it was green, the woman had a saint. My mouse is messing up again. What's going on here? Had a man's head on a plate, and she had, you know, an angelic halo above her head, That was basically depicting the same scene, just the aftermath. I wish I could remember the name of the painting off the top of my head, though. Let's go ahead and save. I do have to say, I do like that this game is leading me on pretty well as to where to go. Despite this being a pretty big place, I haven't ever felt lost. I don't know if that's just because the enemies have basically led me everywhere I need to go, or... But either way, like I said, it's kind of doing a good job. I'll come back to you, buddy.
Bethany often used this room as her office after Jeremiah left for the war.
Bethany. So I'm guessing Bethany was the red-headed woman. So right now, the only thing this thing's really having me do is just look at stuff that's gonna change and be weird and spooky. So let's see, yet another thing to read. Why do I waste my time with posers and fools? I realize now that my correspondence with these others has been a waste of my time. Father had done more research than I could truly appreciate until now. But most of the other magicians are braggarts who act the part but rarely have any inkling of the truth. I have tried to contact the Golden Dawn, but have been ignored and insulated since I am not from the continent. Aleister Crowley insists I have become his acolyte. I suspect it is more of a harem. His vanity is the boorish and fraudulent. He is as confused as my brother. Both are lost in vices. While Aaron numbs himself and seeks escape, the great beast actually believes it to be revelation. A few have been unresponsive or cryptic. I suspect if I pursued them I might glean some knowledge. However, I am beginning to realize that my research and documentation are beginning to plateau. What I have learned must be put into practice. Perhaps the nature of the knowledge I seek cannot be found within this society. Trial and error has slowed my learning due to the long research period. The help probably suspects something is amiss since my health fluctuates drastically from the rituals. They wouldn't dare say anything. Besides, I can always blame erratic fortitude upon my family's legacy. That should be enough to excuse my bouts of weakness. Besides, Aaron languishes in his stupor even now. Bethany. Ooh. Yet another book. Jeremiah, I am warning you about Bethany. She has become obsessed with Father's books since you left for the war. She is increasingly paranoid and secretive. She locks herself in the sunroom or disappears on horseback. I know she is corresponding with a number of outsiders. I fear she is making family business known to these strangers. I doubt we want her to bring unneeded attention to the family. You know she is the last person we want near these stones. How could you have left us? I can feel the fingers of this course reaching out to us. Don't think you can escape. You know you have come back. Damn it, Jeremiah. You have doomed us all, and you are a coward for leaving us. Can you bear to whisper, or can you hear the whispers, Jeremiah? Even another continent isn't far enough. Remember, I tried to go as well. I still heard them, even in Asia, dens of German gutters. I figured it out. It's inside. It won't be long before you cross the threshold, brother. Aaron. Patrick Crackshot. Are we sure the help was leaving and they just weren't getting eaten? I mean...
Stuck.
Okay, right now this is looking like a pretty good point to save. I'll go ahead and heal. And I guess I'll stop for right now. I may be back on later again, but to anybody watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll definitely be trying to finish this game. So, bye.